Hi, this is a little video I put together on using a Raspberry Pi, a USB2Dynamixel to control a Dynamixel servo motor. So a good place to start is at the Dynamixel e-manual. It has a lot of good information in here, going over the control registers and the header configuration to communicate with the Dynamixel. But the Dynamixel software, or the Robotis software, is a little bit too clunky to use with a Raspberry Pi. It's kind of slow, and it doesn't give you the control that you want over the servo motor with some custom Raspberry Pi software. So this is kind of introductory. How do you control the servo motor with a Raspberry Pi? And after you've reviewed the manual, go to my GitHub page and check out my README documents, which basically has all the stuff in there on how to use GitHub, download GitHub to Raspberry Pi, which there's tons of tutorials on the internet about that if you have any trouble. And so you're going to want to download my GitHub repository for this, which is linked at the bottom of this video. And it also uses WX-Python for the GUI and the Python serial. So copy and paste my GitHub link right in here, just like it says in the README document, and save it right to your desktop. And it'll put a folder on your desktop that has 3 files in it: a GUI file, a serial file, and a ports file. And here, then you want to connect your hardware, just like you see in this picture. And as soon as you connect the USB into your Raspberry Pi, the Raspberry Pi should recognize the USB to Dynamixel converter. It's just a standard FTDI converter. So here's the 3 files that are in there, and open up idle, and you want to open up the GUI file, and the GUI file will open up the other 2 files, and it'll open the Dynamixel class file, and it'll open the ports file. The ports file just configures the serial port. The Dynamixel sets up the headers to communicate with the Raspberry Pi to the Dynamixel, and the GUI is just a GUI so that it's easy to work with. So here's the GUI. It's just a simple WX-Python slide bar, and when you click on this move button, the Dynamixel will move to this position, and it should automatically find your serial port connections and connect to them. It'll tell you if there's none connected, and it doesn't support multiple serial ports, so you should only have one thing on your serial port at a time. And here's it actually moving. So the motor's moving to the left, and then it moves to the other way around. I just put a piece of paper with some crosshairs on it just so you could see it move. This is just getting started. Day 1 communicating with your servo motor. So you can see as I move the slide bar, then click move the slide bar, click move, it goes in the opposite direction. And when I put the slide bar in the middle, click move, it goes to the middle. So that GUI was just taken right from the WX-Python documents for slide bar. Here it is right here. You can see it looks exactly like it. That's the actual one on the Raspberry Pi right there, except I changed the move button so that it moves the motor. Here's some of the software that's in it. Start here at the serial port. This just communicates with the serial, and this is the Dynamixel class, and this is the GUI class here. basically the only thing I added was it imports the Dynamixel class, and then it sets the speed of the motors, and it writes the value from the slider to the Dynamixel class. And to do that, all you do is call the set register function and pass it the ID of the motor, which is usually 1, and then the position register, and then the value, high byte and low byte. And then this is the Dynamixel class. It imports the serial port, and it basically just sets up the header functions. I've commented a lot in here, so you should be able to kind of read through it. It's pretty well commented on just what it's doing and how it works, but all it basically does is it sets up the header file and passes that to the serial port, and has a couple functions, the set register and get register functions. This get register function works pretty good. It has error checking in it. Both of these pass a checksum. It's part of the requirements of the header. But this one also will tell you if there's any kind of communication error, because it double checks both ways. The serial port is a standard serial port. It's set up with 1 megabyte or 1 megabits per second baud rate that the Usb2Dynamixel uses, and it just has standard serial port communication. Open the serial port. I put this test function in. It's not even really needed. Only if you're having trouble, you can run the test function. It'll just find the available ports and open the first one it sees. It doesn't support multiple serial ports. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for watching, and have fun playing around with your Dynamixel servo motors and your Raspberry Pi. And when you're done, watch my AX12A tutorial.